towards a life that matters. Our guest of honor and speaker for today's ceremony, the Honorable Senator Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Thank you very much for that most inspiring introduction. Mr. Alfonso Borda, the President and CEO of Lyceum of Subic Bay, Inc. Ms. Concepcion Borda, the Executive Vice President. Dr. Diana Arceo, the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Members of faculty and the administration of the Lyceum. Our beloved parents, without whom this day would never have come. Ladies and gentlemen, and most of course, our graduates, my friends, good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking you most sincerely for this kind invitation, for me to spend with you this special day in your life, joined by your parents, teachers, relatives, and friends. And let me say that I'm delighted to be back here in Subic Freeport after 3 years when I spoke before your student forum in one of my campaign sorties when I was running for the Senate. Well, I was successful in my campaign and I have returned now as a Senator of the Republic, where I would like to extend my deepest thanks for your continued support that helped me bring me to where I am today. Faced with the task of delivering a memorable commencement speech, the famous humorist Art Bongbong told one graduating class, "Remember, we are leaving you a perfect world. Don't screw it up." And then he bade them goodbye and sat down. It is, according to some, the shortest and best commencement speech ever delivered. I had thought maybe following his example and being very concise and very brief. But this is too important an event to do that. That is why I welcome this rare but fresh opportunity to share my thoughts with you, your families and school officials on this special day. My dear graduates, it is often said that graduation is one of the few authentic rites of passage in our society. As a rite of passage, it marks a person's transition from one status to another. It looks in two directions. One, retrospective, looking back to the past. The other, looking to the future with an eye focused on what is to come. Today, you are graduating from college, which represents the end of your formal education, but you will know that this ceremony that we are in today is called a commencement, which means it is also a beginning. It points to a new phase in your life. As in other milestones of your lives, it is fitting that your parents are here today. They are here to witness and celebrate this rite of passage. I know that I speak for every parent, that when I say that this graduation is like the very day when you came into this world. For us, the day that you were born was the greatest event in our lives as parents. A wonderful blessing from on high. But even more, we consider it a blessing and the fulfillment of many prayers and much sacrifice. Indeed, something for all of us to be supremely thankful for. Likewise, something to be very proud of. Graduates of 2013, your completion of your college studies is similarly gratifying and fulfilling. For many years, you have studied long and labored hard to complete your course requirements. You have sometimes endured the terror of dealing with difficult and demanding professors, but you also have been touched by the compassion and concern of some of your great teachers and mentors. Of all the things that you have learned from your parents and your teachers, let us hope that you have learned this, a single lesson that you will carry for the rest of your life. That is, that values count as much as the core knowledge of the courses you have taken. I emphasize this point because deeply held values are the only true foundations we can build our lives on as individuals and in a wider and higher plane as a nation. If you will permit me to share with you some of the lessons that I learned from my grandmother, who was a teacher, and from my parents, and the training I received from my mentors here and abroad. What is the most important is that one should never forget the value of hard work and the importance of effort. As one great writer says, perhaps the most valuable result of all education is the ability to make yourself do the thing you have to do, when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It is the first lesson that must be learned, and however early a man's or woman's training begins, it is probably the last lesson they learn thoroughly. After all, a diamond can be described as merely a piece of gold that stayed on the job until it reached its precious state. Similarly, ultimately, those who can stay on the job are the people who become our leaders, our visionaries, the diamonds of our society. Former U.S. President Calvin Coolidge did not exaggerate when he wrote, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent cannot take its place. And nothing is more common than an unsuccessful man with talent. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. The world is full of so-called educated derelict. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, 'Press on,' has been recognized to have solved and always will solve much of the problems of the human race." Perhaps a very telling illustration of this is that of Madame Curie and the discovery of radium. After the failure of their 487th experiment in the research for radium, her husband, Pierre Curie, cried out in despair, "It cannot be done, it cannot be done. Maybe in 100 years it can be done, but not in our lifetime." Madame Curie turned to him and simply answered, "If it takes 100 years, it will be a pity. But I dare not do less than work for it as long as I live." Sure enough, within a few experiments later, they had discovered radium. And talking of perseverance, we see what the events that are happening now in Sabah. What Sultan Kiram and his people have been doing these past few weeks is also a lesson in persistence. They have, after all, the Sultanate of Sulu and its people have been pressing their claim, as has the Philippines, to Sabah for over 100 years now. Someday, somehow, their persistent efforts will bear fruit. Till then, we cannot do less than work for it as long as we live. Recently, I was encouraged to read the news that some 10 Filipinos are now in the Forbes list of billionaires. The list is noteworthy because nearly everyone on that list earned their billions through patient toil, ingenious investing, and continuous build-up of their enterprises, slowly, steadily, persistently through the years. These billionaire compatriots are all worthy of emulation and admiration by all of us. But much as we are awed and dazzled by the numbers in the billions, we must note the corollary lesson that their experience teaches us. Earning and making money is an important part of being an adult, but it is not all there is to life. When I was studying for my master's, I was struck and moved by something that the great management teacher Rosabeth Moss Cantor wrote in the Harvard Business Review. She wrote thus, "Money should never be separated from its mission. Money is an instrument, not an end. Detached from its values, the desire for money may indeed be the root of all evil." We are always reminded of this, but we still often forget it. But linked effectively to social purpose, it can be the root of opportunity that could branch out into more abundant fruits and more opportunities, not only for yourselves, also for your community, your country. I am certain as well that in their own respective ways, each of our Filipino billionaires is linking their wealth to a useful social purpose. They are providing employment with their business activities, they give to charity, they share their blessings, and help alleviate poverty. In that way, they pay a service to our society. But today, as we look around, we are seeing more Filipinos succeed in the world. And not just in the huge sums of money that are earned that compel our admiration. It's the way that they are succeeding through sheer talent and home skill. Not to mention, once again, perseverance and hard work, thus raising the image of our people in the international scene. All of us have as a favorite champion Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao is doubtless an outstanding example of this. The 8 boxing titles he won in 8 different weight divisions will perhaps never be surpassed in boxing's record books. It did not happen in one day. It did not happen in one fight. But again, slowly and steadily through the years. I am also awed and gratified by the way so many Filipinos are making it onto the global stage as accomplished theater and cinema actors and actresses. Then we have our world-renowned performers in the field of music. It is widely recognized that Filipino singing talent has become so ubiquitous that contest judges now assume that whenever there is a contestant who can really sing, they must be Filipino. As we have just watched, I'm sure you've seen in the news, Jessica Sanchez singing for President Barack Obama. I have taken time to talk about the great qualities of these achievers and the qualities that have enabled them to become great. Because they are indisputably the products of our country and our culture, and the values we live by. And there are even more achievers in the fields of science and academia. Not to mention them all would take much more time than we have here today. And I know you are eager to begin your celebrations. Our country is a community of shared values. Throughout our history, our nation has always been carried forward by our people and our values, led by our forebears and our heroes. We have risen many times from the greatest trials and adversities by caring for one another, by holding on with tenacity and fortitude to our deep faith in ourselves, in our communities, in our country, and in all that we believe to be true. My dear graduates, this century is your time, and it is now your turn to shine in the still a beautiful and wonderful world. Soon you will have your own careers, most in the private sector, perhaps some in government, or even in politics, like myself. Soon you will be parents, yourselves grandparents, eventually, raising children who are gifted, talented, and brilliant. As you move on, you will have to make your own choices and commitments in your respective professions and careers. As it was for other generations that came before you, it now falls on you to meet the challenge of passing on a better country to those who will come after you. Seize the moment. And the expression is seize the moment because it is a moment. The window of opportunity opens and closes very quickly. My dear graduates, I sincerely hope and pray, and I am confident that you will carry the torch that we will pass on to you proudly, with honor, with dignity, and with love. After all, you are a Filipino, a child of the world, a product of creation. Go forth and face that world. Your time has come. To your beloved parents, go my deepest admiration and highest respect for their infatigable determination and unwavering commitment to the pursuit of your proper upbringing and successful education. As you receive your hard-earned diploma today, spare a thought for all that your parents had to do, all the sacrifices that they made to bring you to this day, to wish you all a wonderful life. Maraming salamat.
Appreciation to our head officer.